I don't really know what I'm gonna say. I usually script, write lots of things on the internet. But no, I just pressed record. So, for those of you who know, Borders USA, the 5th season of Borders, was in production. And in fact, we shot most of it and developed it. And yet, it was in production at a time when everything kind of started to change in this country. These things have changed our country fundamentally. So, Borders USA is canceled and will not air. As you can imagine, this news is very difficult for me. I understand the reasoning, and yet what this represents for me is a very abrupt and unforeseen end to something that I really, really loved and really worked hard to build. I don't know how to describe this other than Borders was more than just a documentary series for me. This project represented a major transformation in my life and became the foundation of so much of what I do today. Back in the early days of Vox, when it was still sort of a startup and there were just a few of us on the video team, my boss at the time, Joe, who was the head of video, took a major chance on me. He let me take my camera, at that point a 5D Mark III, and my tripod, and the limited budgets we had back then, and go. My first time was to Cuba, and he just said, make it good, and make sure it's factually accurate. That opened something in me that I didn't really know existed, which was this obsessive, voracious desire to tell stories and explain things in faraway places. Joe let that spark catch, and over the next several years, that spark turned into a massive fire. And I'm looking for ideas surrounding a single topic, borders. By 2017, we turned it into a series called Vox Borders. We're driving through a river right now in the Jeep. I traveled to 6 different border regions around the world in one summer in the course of 40 days. And the whole time I was pinching myself. Is this a dream? Am I really in a Jeep in Nepal going up to the Tibet border to tell a story of nomadic yak herders? Am I really in a North Korean school in Japan eating kimchi and rice and talking to these people about their love for their great leader back in North Korea? Did I really just take a nighttime boat ride with a bunch of merchant women from Haiti to the Dominican Republic? It was a whirlwind of experiences and a masterclass in how to tell stories and represent people and represent big issues around the world. I'm incredibly grateful for that first season. It went on to get nominated for an Emmy, and Vox was like, let's do another one. And so then it was Hong Kong. 5 really compelling stories, from cage homes to feng shui to the story of the British in Hong Kong and the remnants they left behind. And then Colombia, where we looked into one of the world's most dire border crises as Venezuela fell apart and people rushed into Colombia. We looked into music and hippos and cocaine. And then finally India, the most intimidating and difficult set of stories I've ever told. Hours and hours poring over physical maps, traversing from the south of India, where we looked at the Sri Lanka-India border, all the way up to the north into Punjab, the border ceremony, the Sikhs looking across the border at their holy place, learning about cow vigilantes and the persecution of India's Muslims. This is hard. Like I said, this is hard and weird and nostalgic, and my whole body feels it in some strange way. And yet, at the same time, I'm feeling a deep gratitude for the fact that I had this opportunity. A gratitude for Christina Thornell, who was the first person I hired when we started Borders to help me build it, and she did, and became a monumental part of the whole thing, helping develop the stories and get us in places that were impossible to get into, and getting us the interviews we needed and the story beats and the visuals, and her work is embedded in every episode. And the stories themselves, it's so often that I was on camera and doing my thing, but there were so many people who touched these episodes, and I just feel so grateful, especially to the editors. If you don't know, in journalism, an editor is someone who sort of guides you and guides your story and helps you pare it down and helps you focus on the right things. And I'm sure many of you know Joss Fong, the amazingly talented video creator. Her guidance over the years made me who I am as a storyteller. Every video you see on this channel has Joss Fong's fingerprints on them. She taught me how to be a journalist, and I am forever indebted to her as a creator and as an editor and as just a person. Thank you, Joss. You may have noticed that Borders got more rigorous and deeper each season, and that's because we got a new story editor, Mona, who came in and said hey, what if we made Borders a hard-hitting journalistic series that was deeper and more representative of people. And she became my story editor and pushed it and really taught me what serious journalism was. And there are so many people who touched this series, from assistant producers to our engagement team at Vox, who helped push it out to the world. I would love to talk about every person who touched Borders, and I did in a Slack message to my team as I was leaving and shutting down everything at Vox. One of the things that became really special for me was the music in Borders. Starting in Hong Kong, I started teaming up with a music composer, Tom Fox, who started building custom music for every episode of Borders. Guy's amazing, and luckily I still get to work with him. He still makes music for this channel and for my other work, and he's just one of the most brilliant musicians I've ever had the pleasure of working with. And I will probably work with him for decades to come, so check out Tom Fox's music for sure. Link in the description. While I am very sad that these stories that we worked very hard on will sit on a hard drive somewhere for the rest of time, I am very grateful for the opportunity I had to work at this place and the people I got to work with. Sad, nostalgic part over. What's next for me? Okay, so number one, I'm gonna keep making YouTube videos. I'm now officially a full-on YouTuber. This will start to really take a lot more priority in my life. Right now, the channel's not big enough that I can go out into the field and do documentary stuff, but the way it's growing, it may be big enough that I could actually financially support that. So if you're not subscribed, click subscribe. It helps me grow so I can do more ambitious stuff. Go to patreon.com/JohnnyHarris and you can support and get a bunch of cool stuff if you do it too. All of that will help me make more ambitious videos and be able to eventually do more sort of journalistic style stuff. Right now, it just doesn't make sense financially. Number two, I'm gonna keep focusing on the startup that I've been building for the past year, which is called Bright Trip, where we've built a platform where we publish travel courses, how to go on a trip and have it be way more informed. It's all with beautiful video and animation and teaching and all of this stuff. So that's the other thing I'm gonna continue to work on. Number three, I'm still going to be in the journalism world. I reached out to the New York Times, who I've talked to for many years, and said hey, do you guys wanna collaborate on something? So I've been working with the New York Times, which is a really fun and amazing opportunity, and we'll be publishing a video with them sometime in the near future. So I'll still be doing journalism. In the end, the thing I care about most is, again, what I talked about, what I learned at Vox, which is this love I have for sharing stories about how the world works, and specifically about how things work in faraway places that we're not maybe familiar with. I find great meaning in that, and what all of these things have in common, the YouTube channel, Bright Trip, the journalism stuff, is that I want to share stories and information in beautiful ways with you, and that's why I do this. That is what my work is. Like I said, that's something I learned at Vox because they took a bet on me, and I'm so grateful for that. And it's something I'm going to continue to do on all of these different platforms. So thank you all for being here. And for those who have been on the Borders journey and along with me, thank you for all of the support throughout these years. It's been good, and it's not over. This is just a little fork in the road. I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep telling stories one way or another, and I hope you all can continue on the journey with me. See you later.